You're listening to the Cyberwire Network, powered by N2K.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to N2K Cyberwire's Hacking Humans podcast, where each week we look behind the social engineering scams, phishing schemes, and criminal exploits that are making headlines and taking a heavy toll on organizations around the world. I'm Dave Bittner, and joining me is Joe Kerrigan. Joe.
Hi, Dave.
And our N2K colleague and host of the T-Minus Space Daily podcast, Maria Vermazis. Maria.
Hi, and hi, Dave, and hi, Joe.
Hi, Maria.
We've got some good stories to share this week, and we will be right back after this message from our show sponsor. But first, a word from our sponsor, KnowBe4. Where would InfoSec professionals be without users making security mistakes? Working less than 60 hours per week, perhaps. Actually having a weekend every so often. We get it. User behavior can be a challenge. But users can also be an InfoSec professional's greatest asset once properly equipped. What do we mean by that? Well, stay with us, and in a few minutes, we'll hear from our sponsors at KnowBe4 on that very question. All right, no follow-up this week, so I am going to jump right into our stories here. My story this week comes from an organization called Silent Push, which is a cybersecurity company. They do like threat intelligence for folks.
Okay.
And they published a story about a group that they're calling the Payroll Pirates.
I'm going to guess what they do.
Yeah. Tough one.
Right.
Yeah. They are doing HR phishing scams. So let's walk through how you get scammed by this group. They start off by having some ads that are branded to keywords that they buy in the usual places. You know, your Google AdWords, your Facebooks, your all the normal places where people buy ads.
Right. And once again, big tech is more than willing to sell ads to criminal actors.
That's right. So
sorry, everybody, there's a profit to be had.
That's right. So what this does is, let's say you are working for one of the companies that they target, and for example, Macy's is one of the companies that they target. So you go to your browser, you go to Google, and you do a search for Macy's HR.
Right.
And up pops at the top of your list the Macy's HR portal. But it is not the Macy's HR portal.
It is a malicious ad, isn't
it? Right. It is a malicious ad. But when you click through, it looks to all the world like it is the Macy's HR portal. And of course, they ask you for your login information, or I should slow down. They ask you to log in to what you think is the Macy's HR portal. And as you enter your information, meanwhile, they are actually entering the real Macy's HR portal. This research says that they likely take that information that you gave them, and then they combine it with information they're able to gather elsewhere on the web. For example, your social security number, your address, the things that the legit HR organization would use to try to verify that you are actually who you say you are.
Right. I'm going to talk about something similar to that in my story today.
Okay.
But go ahead.
So once they get your credentials and they are into your HR account, they start changing things. And the main thing that they are after here is your bank routing information. So they will go into your HR portal, they will change where your payroll is routed to, because most people do direct deposit these days. They will route the money to a new location, and then they sit back and they wait. And the payroll happens, and your money goes to their bank account. And it probably takes you a little while to figure out what's happening. And by that time, they're gone. They've got your money, and they're on their way.
They've pulled it out of the bank because it's not a big amount, right? A paycheck is not a difficult amount of money to move around.
All things considered, that's right. That's right. It doesn't...
Yeah, for a financial
probably a
institution.
single Yeah, right. Yes. It's a single payroll doesn't throw up a lot of red flags on its own, but if you can do this at scale, then you can make a lot of money.
I'm talking about the money mules, right? So you can send a money mule out. Like, let's say your paycheck is $2,000. A money mule can pull that out of an ATM or a couple ATMs in quickly.
Right. Yeah, that's good.
True.
They can move it.
That's true. It makes it a lot easier to launder that money. Yeah, interesting. So the couple other bits of information about this group. Infrastructure-wise, they're making use of a lot of the common registrars, like Namecheap and some of the inexpensive registrars for the domain names. And they register domains that look legit-esque from at the outset, right? With the companies that they're trying to target. So how do we protect ourselves against this sort of thing? Well, of course, vigilance. That's easy to say. I would say, never click on an ad.
Yeah, that's almost impossible, especially with the social engineering that Google and Facebook do. Well, particularly in this case, Google, because that's where you're going to get these ads. In fact, I have found myself using Google less and less. I am starting to use Bing as my search engine.
Oh, wow.
And what do you mean, wow? Is it, are you saying that's not any better?
It's just one of those phrases you just don't expect to hear.
Right.
No.
And I can't tell you why. It's just I have the feeling. I mean, for a couple of reasons. One, when I enter Google search results into Google, I get these ads that are just intrusive. Like the first 5 search results look like ads. Like Google has gone ad crazy with all their products. Like YouTube is a miserable experience if you don't have YouTube Premium.
Which I don't.
Yeah.
So when I go to Bing, I don't get accosted with as much. And it seems to me the ads are better defined by Microsoft than they are by Google. Also, the search results are better.
Have you tried DuckDuckGo?
I have tried DuckDuckGo. Search results, not as good, although they're using just Microsoft's search engine.
They're using Bing,
Yeah. So I don't know why they're not as good as Bing. I like Bing better.
Okay. Well,
I don't know. But it's that's where I am with this, is I've kind of started to make the switch.
Yeah.
Bring back Ask Jeeves. That's what we need.
Ask Jeeves.
we all went sideways when we got rid of our butler. That's right.
I think one of the issues here is that a lot of folks, I was going to say unsophisticated internet users, but I don't think that's fair anymore.
Right.
At this point, what does that really mean?
Right.
But a lot of people think of Google as being the front door to the internet.
Yeah,
Still.
that's true.
And for a lot of people, it is. So if they're looking for anything, they just go right to Google, and because traditionally that works. But when these folks are able to buy their way to the top of the search results, and Google doesn't do a great job filtering out these ads that appear to be from legitimate organizations, you say you got to be really vigilant, because they are labeled as ads, but it's not in your face.
It is not. It's very subtle.
Right.
Google has a financial incentive for you to click on that link.
Yeah.
They get paid more when that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it used to be that if you went to a fishy website a while ago, you would sort of have a spidey sense of this website looks scammy. It doesn't look as well put together. But now with and I hate to say the phrase, but I've got to, the incredification of everything, the professional services that we're all sort of used to are not looking as professional as they used to. A lot of good websites don't look as good as they should. I don't know. The bar has been so lowered in a lot of things that spidey sense of this looks scammy. A lot of things set that off nowadays. It's kind of harder to discern what's real and what's not, even if you're really paying attention for it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm trying to think, like, from the HR department's point of view, the kinds of things they could do to help lock this down more. Obviously, education, telling people don't go searching for our HR portal on Google. I mean, try to make it as easy as possible for your employees to use the internal web portal, and then just lock that puppy down. I mean, if there's ever a place to have robust multi-factor authentication, I would say hardware keys.
Yep. Every new employee gets 2.
Yeah.
Just give them to them.
Right. And require them for for your HR stuff. Why
Mhm.
not? You know, if
there's no reason to not, except for the cost of like $90 per person for hiring.
right,
It's not that big of a cost per person.
right. Any other thoughts here for how folks on the HR side might be able to help their users keep this from being a problem?
Well, they could buy ads from Google, Dave, and put the legit site up.
Right.
And that's probably Google's solution. We hate that, well, isn't that nice? Wouldn't it be nice if you just bought some ads from us and then your employees wouldn't be getting their paychecks stolen?
It's like the mob.
Right. Yeah.
Hey, it's a nice HR department you got here. It'd be a shame if somebody were to buy ads and get access to it.
Right. Exactly. That is what you're dealing with.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is where we are.
We're still waiting for that big ad contract here on the CyberWire from Google, right? That's
well,
never going to happen.
I think it's not going to happen. No. Well, what's funny is one of the articles I was reading about this kind of thing pointed out that it's not that Google's doing nothing. They said Google has removes literally billions of fraudulent ads a year.
Right.
And millions of accounts, but they just can't keep up. It's
whack-a-mole.
Yeah.
These guys can just spin up new accounts very quickly and very easily.
Right. And as you say, Joe, I mean, they're dealing with perverse incentives.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, we will have a link to this story in the show notes. This is some research from the folks over at Silent Push, who, of course, they are happy to sell you a solution to this problem.
Of course they are.
But the research itself is quite interesting. All right, let's move on. Joe, what do you got for us this week?
Dave, you remember a long time ago when I said I felt left out because I never got any scam text messages?
Yes, nobody loves you.
Right. I regret saying that, Dave.
Oh, my.
I want to be... I know. I want to feel like I was, like I'm left out again. So I got the first one of these. First off, I've been getting all kinds of scam package delivery text messages. I said that totally wrong. The USPS ones that are obviously just links, or Amazon. Here's a link. And Google has done a pretty good job. I'm going to say this about Google. We just got done bashing them, but I do pay Google for my phones, and they have done a pretty good job of keeping that kind of stuff out of my inbox. Well, I got one when I was recently I went down to Texas, and I got one that was somebody doing this wrong number text thing, right? And I say she like it's really a she. It's probably not a she. But this person starts texting with me and calling me by some wrong name, and I'm like, nope, I'm sorry, you have the wrong number. And then we carry on this conversation. Eventually, I'm like, I start saying, yeah, well, I'm not in Maryland right now. I'm in Texas, and I'm out here hog hunting and coyote hunting, and it was fun for a while, but eventually I stopped. But at some point in time, this person sent me a picture of a very attractive young Asian woman, which is interesting because yesterday, as I was leaving my office, I got another one that says, hey, are you still in Maryland? And I'm like, well, that's weird because this is not the same number. But this one said, hey, Joseph, are you still in Maryland? That's why it got my attention.
Oh, interesting.
And
okay.
I responded, who is this? Because I don't know, maybe it's some, I get a lot of calls from recruiters from time to time. And it seems to be that those are ticking up right now. I'm getting people from recruiting companies trying to contact me, and I'm not looking for a job, so I try to avoid talking to them. But that's what I thought it was a recruiter. So I said, who is this? And then I get the long intro. Oh, it's me. I met you from this place. Don't you remember we had dinner together? And I'm like, no. And they send me another picture of a different young, very attractive Asian woman.
Right.
And I'm wondering, why is it always Asian women? Maybe that's the source. Maybe that's where it's coming from. I don't know. I don't know if there's anything significant about that at all.
I don't know either, but you're right. That's whenever you see these people doing screen grabs of these, that is pretty consistent.
Right. So I just ignored that one and sent that one to spam. I just don't have time for this anymore. My point here is this: the second one actually got me, even if it was only briefly. They got me to respond and engage. Right? I didn't hit it off. I didn't get it as a scam right away because they came in. They had my first name, which is what I was talking about earlier. my phone number and name are probably out there in some scammer system with a bunch of different things. By the way, I told the people that the one I was talking to when I was in Texas that my name was Butch. And she asked for a picture of me, and I just Googled redneck with a shotgun and sent the first result.
Wow.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I Googled redneck with a shotgun, and darn it if my picture didn't come
Right,
up.
it might be. I was like, this looks remotely like me with a shotgun.
The truth hurts.
Right.
Wow.
I'll tell you, Dave, the picture's not that far off. If I had a beard,
Wow.
could easily have been me. And was a little younger. Yeah. So I mean, this guy was exactly the same build as me.
Okay.
So, yeah, it was a little bit like, wow, maybe I shouldn't have Googled that. So
a lot of monkey paws just curling in this story. I'm just hearing it. All right.
Okay. So we'll have to ask later what that reference means. I don't get
the monkey paw, the fingers. Yeah. Like you were doing things with unintended consequences.
Oh, okay. Yes, I get it. Yes, like the monkey paw wishes.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Got it.
Call yourself a Simpsons fan.
Oh, the Simpsons fan. No, I know the Simpsons.
Oh, Maria.
I wish I had
Am I right,
paw.
Maria? Am I right?
So, yeah. So a lot of unintended consequences. Anyway, my point here is I was wondering what these scams are. What's their end game? What is it? And I looked around today and I found a company called the Merrimack.com. It's actually a community bank. And it's
up my way. I live in the Merrimack Valley. That's
okay.
It's a river
Do you
up
know
here.
Merrimack Community Savings Bank?
No, not personally, but it's a thing that exists in the area that I live in. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they have a nice story here, or like a little don't get caught by this scam kind of thing. It was posted on October 17th. We'll put a link in the show notes. The wrong number text scams are on the rise. And what it is it's they'll strike up a conversation with you after you've established that it's a wrong number. And then they try to lure you into some kind of scam. And this could take weeks or months to do this. So they're patient. They are willing to do this. So how to protect yourself, they say, ignore texts from people you don't know. By responding, you're letting the scammer know your phone number is active and you could be receiving more texts.
Which happened to you.
Exactly.
Well, that's what I was going to give you a little hard time, Joe, because when you were describing the second one, you said, I never interacted with these people, but you did.
So why did you respond?
Yes. That's right.
Right. You let them know that was an active phone number.
It's like the whole joke about people getting solicitors at their front door, and people under a certain age never have this issue because none of us answer the door when the doorbell rings.
Yeah.
It's like, if I wasn't expecting you, I am not answering the door. I don't care who you are. It's the same with the phone. Just don't.
Reminds me of the Kathleen Madigan joke where her father was saying that he was a door-to-door salesman, and she said, what do you do with the people that have the no soliciting sign? He goes, oh, those people buy anything.
Oh, my.
That's why they have the sign. This was my mistake here. I thought I was going to have some fun with the first one, but now I'm getting hit with the second one. I got actually a third one, which may have been an actual wrong number, because this person followed up with a call, and they were looking for their dad. And I sent them a text, said wrong number, and I've said I got 2 texts in a phone call, wrong number, and they were like, "Yeah, sorry about that. It was wrong number." And then that was it. I haven't heard anything back from that one yet.
Do you ever get calls? Do people just call you out of the blue and say, "Did you call this number?" Do you ever get that?
I have never gotten that. No,
I have. I've gotten it a couple times.
Only when I have called a number do I get that.
Yeah, I've gotten that a couple times.
That's weird.
Just out of the blue, right? Like, it's not someone I called, but they call back, and I say, no, I've never called this number. And they're incredulous because somebody has spoofed my number, right, to call them.
Okay.
And they're like, well, it says right here, this is the number that called me. I did not call you. I've never met you. I'm sorry.
That's what, Dave, you need to go all expert on them. Do you know who I am?
People love that.
I'm Dave Pittner from the Cyberwire.
I'm going to ask you to go to your computer and do a Google search for hacking humans.
Now, I want you to listen to the entirety of the catalog.
That's right. Now, don't click on the first link that comes up, because that's hacking humans, and it's totally a scam site. So, yeah.
Because somebody bought a Google ad.
Yeah.
All
All right. Anything else, Joe?
No, that's it. Just you should probably ignore those stupid messages and the people who have written us saying don't engage with these people. You're all 100% correct.
Right.
I couldn't help myself.
Do better than Joe. That's
Right.
the message for the day.
Do better than Joe.
317 episodes in, ladies and gentlemen, and
Well, it's called dog fooding. It's okay.
Yeah.
that's right. He did it. He does it, so you don't have to.
That's right.
That's right.
What did you say? Dog fooding?
Yeah.
Picking one for the team.
That is the second time in as many days as I've heard that reference. Now I have to look that up and figure out what that means.
It's a stupid tech
Joe,
term.
did you have a stroke this week?
No.
You've
never heard
think so.
dog
You don't
fooding?
understand dog fooding or monkey. You've been a developer. You don't know dog fooding or a monkey's paw?
No.
Joe, you're good.
I know monkey's paw. I get the monkey
Before
paw.
you leave
Are you
here,
all
we're
right,
taking
Joe?
your blood pressure. Yeah.
Actually, I invented these phrases. Me specifically, no one else. You've never heard them before. I've said
yes.
them. I'm that brilliant.
That's right.
That's exactly
That's
it.
right.
Oh, eating your own dog food. I've heard the eat your own dog food thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. You know what?
Yummy.
Yeah.
We're going to take a break before our next story to hear a quick word from our show sponsors.
I'm
Stay
gonna
with
have
us.
some kibble.
We were talking about making users into an asset for security professionals. Simply put, users want to do the right thing. They're often just lacking the knowledge to do so. That's one of the reasons KnowBe4 has released Security Coach, a real-time security coaching tool that takes alerts from your existing security stack and sends immediate coaching to users who've taken risky actions. For example, imagine a user has visited a high-risk website or tried to open a document containing malware. Existing security tools will likely block that action, but the user might not understand why. Security Coach analyzes these alerts and provides users with relevant security tips via email or Slack, coaching them on why the action they just took was risky. Help users learn from their mistakes and strengthen your organization's security culture with Security Coach. Learn more about Security Coach at knowbe4.com/securitycoach. That's knowbe4.com/securitycoach. All right, we are back, which means, Maria, it is your turn. What do you got for us this week?
I guess we're all just doing stuff that happened to us this week.
Right. Sounds like a good one.
Yeah, because I had something pop in my inbox after all the stories that we've been doing recently about people sending invoices through legitimate services that look real but are actually fraudulent. Usually these get caught by our spam filters. They're pretty easy to get flagged, but one actually landed in my inbox, and it was a fraudulent PayPal invoice. But there was something about it that I thought was actually kind of impressive in a bad way. So that's why I'm highlighting it. Because the ones that just say, here's an invoice for some money, yeah, you know that those are fake. But the one that I received that said, here's your invoice, again, sent via PayPal, legitimately, but of course fraudulent, had spammed everywhere throughout it, in the subject line, in the message, in the actual fake transaction note. Seeing a charge that doesn't seem right, reach out at actual phone number for help. Which I have not seen that before, where it says basically a fake customer support number.
In the subject line.
In the subject line, in the message, even in the note from the seller. It's throughout the message. So this actually surprised me because they're expecting that someone's going to go, oh, this is obviously one of those fake invoices. They know that that's going to be the reaction, and they're expecting you to go, well, I'm not expecting this. Let me call this phone number. And by repeating it, hopefully a whole bunch of times, somebody might actually do it. So I actually did it, but my ISP was clearly looking out for me because the number was disconnected, which I was really disappointed about. So I clicked the link in the email, which was also a really stupid idea. And
Maria, what have we learned from my story today? Nothing. That's the answer.
Wow.
I've learned nothing. I should be fired immediately. I clicked the link in the email.
Got bad news for you, Maria.
I am now completely compromised. And it indeed, because I looked at the URL, I'm like, this is a legitimate PayPal URL, and it actually did go to PayPal. PayPal very nicely at the very top said, this has been flagged as a fraudulent invoice. So good job, PayPal. The phone number in the subject line and in the message and all that had actually been changed by that point. So, and I called it again because I was really curious what would happen if I called that number.
When you click on the link, you see an online version of the invoice.
Of the invoice, and the phone number had changed by that point. Who knows how many times they had cycled through new phone numbers? Right. Like whack-a-mole. But I called that number before I suppose PayPal froze the invoice as fraudulent. And unfortunately, my ISP yet again looked out for me and didn't allow the call to go through. But I was really impressed that they were trying to squeeze as much as they could out of this fake invoice by cycling through a whole bunch of fake numbers before PayPal put the pain on them. But yeah, I was very, very impressed by that. And again, in a bad way. It was not good. Don't do this. This is bad.
But let me add just a little bit of color to this, which is I was visiting with my father recently. And as I've shared with the show, my father is quite elderly. And he had one of these. And of course, he printed it out to show me. Because that's what you do.
I love that.
Yeah, did you try clicking on the link by pushing it?
Oh, don't.
Have you, Dave, let me ask you, and be honest with me, Dave. Have you ever pushed on a piece of paper thinking that it would get an interface to work?
No, but I have seen it said that to a toddler, a magazine is a broken iPad. Right?
Okay.
Because I've seen toddlers try to zoom in.
Right, like
on pictures and magazines.
Yes,
right?
the pinch. Yep.
Using two fingers.
Yes.
Yeah. So, no, I have not seen my father. My father did not try to click a link on the printed out paper. However, I did have an aha moment with my father not long after he got his first iPhone. He couldn't understand why he was having trouble with it. And I came over to help him with it. And he was trying to click the screen with his fingernail.
Oh, yeah.
Not the fleshy part of his finger.
Right. It doesn't work.
Couldn't understand why it wasn't working. And so what's amazing to me about working with my dad with a lot of this tech stuff is that he comes up with things that I never would have imagined.
Right.
Yeah.
You should be a tester.
Dave, my father did the same thing too. I remember he had a really hard time with it. I don't know if this is relevant for the show, but my dad, and when I showed my dad the correct way to tap the screen, it still wouldn't register his finger. It was something about like his skin being so dry.
Yeah, that's starting to happen to me too.
Yeah, I'm just saying. So some of it was the fingernail.
Something with age?
I believe so.
Sorry.
Because the device believes that your flesh is no longer living?
Yes.
Desiccated.
I don't know what it is, but like I can't turn my alarm off in the morning sometimes.
Oh, my.
Oh, no.
And when somebody calls, I can't answer. And my wife says, just lick your finger and do it. I'm like, I'm not licking my finger.
You lick your finger and do it.
You're officially old if you have to do that. I'm sorry. It's the rules.
I will say this, though. If you lick your finger, it works.
Yeah.
I'll
take your word for it.
Don't touch anything that Joe has touched is what we're hearing.
Yes. There's Joe spit all over everything.
Getting back to my dad, he hands me this printed out invoice, right? And he says, "What is this?" And I say, "That's a scam, Dad. There's nothing for you to do here." He says, "It's a scam?" I said, "It's absolutely 100% a scam." He says, "Okay." He says, "Should I call the phone number on here?"
Okay, we're laughing. We're laughing, but no.
That's how this works.
This is how this works.
Right.
That's how it works.
That's my point, right? Like, yes, this is exactly how it works.
Right.
Yep.
Because for some reason, he thought that even though it's a scam, if he called the number, he could set it right.
Right.
Like he could call them and say, "Stop sending me this," or whatever. But I'd say, no, you don't have to do anything. Just ignore it. Leave it alone. Never look at it again. Delete the email and anything like it. So again, he has reactions to things that are beyond my own imagination, which is good for me to learn, what's possible. And, and it's entertaining for our show. So there you go.
Yeah. And the phone numbers that I dialed were all American phone numbers. I mean, they were area codes of areas that I'm not from, but one of them was from Indiana. The other one was from Illinois. And I actually Googled them also, and they are formerly owned by legitimate businesses. So, it was just really interesting to kind of go down what the scammers were using. And I was imagining the coordination between the phone companies and PayPal on this, and just what a pain this must be. So yeah, that was fun. That was fun. So that's my first of two stories. The second one was actually kind of a bit of a follow-on to a story that I covered a little while ago about job scams that are proliferating through LinkedIn. And I saw another person in my LinkedIn sort of universe post about an experience that they had. And I'm going to keep this anonymous because this is a very painful thing that happened to this person. But a young job seeker who's been unemployed for about a year now basically fell victim to a job posting they found on LinkedIn. They completed an interview, they got a job offer, and completed the tax documentation, identity paperwork, and payroll documents. And unfortunately, after going through all that, found out that the job posting was fake, and the scammer behind all this cleared out their entire bank account. They basically transferred everything within their bank account over to either through Bitcoin or cashed out through a cashier's check. And I was just kind of, aside from just feeling really terribly for this person, I also noticed that this person is very young. And I was wondering if people are not having a conversation with younger folks. Now I feel a little old saying this. Handing over your routing number and your account number is advice, don't do that. And
Right.
I remember getting that advice when I was younger, when I got my first checkbook, which is how old I am. But since checkbooks are not really in use much anymore, especially by people under a certain age, I'm wondering if that knowledge has been lost a little bit, that your bank account number and routing number are the keys to the kingdom. You don't just hand that out. You have to be very, very careful with that. Because I know there's a lot of payroll documentation that's sent especially to freelancers where they're just asking for that information. You don't know who they are. It's very easy for them to do a lot of ACH fraud with that info. And I don't know if people know that that's really information you've got to be extremely careful with. So I guess it's sort of maybe a call to action for us, for those of us who have younger people in our lives, to remind them that that's information you really don't want to give out easily. And then and if you think that this job posting might be true, but you're still kind of iffy on it, or just out of abundance of caution, one bit of advice I saw in the comments on this person's post was about having a quasi-empty bank account just for the purpose of waiting for these deposits to actually clear, for if it's a real job.
I was going to suggest that.
Yeah,
Yep.
Not giving out your actual bank account information that has your real amount of money in it, just sort of having a fake one in case it is a scam.
Account.
Yeah, a decoy bank account. Yeah, which I was like, I can't believe this is the world we live in now, but it is the world we live in now.
Right.
So yeah.
So I started doing this when credit card fraud started becoming a problem, and we had an ATM card, and the ATM card became like a Visa, right? And I read somewhere that if you got scammed, or if someone stole your credit card, you wouldn't be liable for any of the charges. But if someone stole your ATM card, you might be liable for up to $500 worth of charges.
Yep.
That might be the amount of money you don't get back. So my wife and I immediately opened another checking account at the same institution, and they're back to back. And one of them has the debit card attached to it, and the other one does not. So we said, we don't want any debit cards or any checks for this. This is just for us to receive money. And the other one is the one that money goes out of. So if someone gets a hold of our credit, if someone got a hold of my debit card right now and went out to spend more than $100 on it, it would get declined because there's not $100 in that account. That money is behind essentially a banking firewall. Now, this would require the addition of a third checking account for you to receive the money. And then you have a receiving account, a spending account, and a holding account. I don't know if banks are willing to do that, though.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a lot of work. It's a lot of moving money around. It's also assuming you can get a bank account, which can be tough for some folks. Yeah.
But if you're not getting a bank account, there are other ways to get paid. And I don't know that those ways are scammable like this. I'm just not familiar enough with them.
Yeah, I when I was a freelancer, most of the time, any requests about sharing account and routing information went through a third party, like a verifiable business, like a payment transaction service that was trustworthy. But sometimes you are just sent literally a PDF and put your information in this, and you just got to trust that vendor is who they say they are. And it's pretty nerve-wracking. But again, yeah.
When you were a freelancer, did you have is this a service that you paid for or that you had out there as a freelancer that
No, I was at the mercy of
you?
whoever was hiring me. They all had their own different services that they preferred to use. So I would send an invoice and I would say, contact me if you need this information because I'm not putting it on my invoice. But I saw other freelancers would freely put their account and routing number, at the bottom of their invoices, and that was a little dangerous.
Oh no.
Yeah. People do that because they figure it's an easier way to get paid. But sometimes
right. Immediately, I just want to find one of those guys, have him do some work for me, and then drain his bank account. I mean, that's the threat model right there, right?
Unfortunately, it happens a lot, and
right.
So you as a freelancer, you can go through, try to set up your own third-party intermediary, like using an invoicing service. Sometimes, but those cost money, and not everybody has the money to pay for that up front. And if you are working with a more established company, they may have one that they want you to use. But if you're a small freelancer doing work for a small business, chances are they just want to get that information directly from you. And there's a lot of trust that goes on there, and sometimes it's abused. And again, I don't know, especially younger folks who are entering the workforce, if they know how there is no additional firewall set up between your account number and router. That's it. Like if they have those two numbers, that's all they need. And I don't know if people know that. So
I think they also need like an ACH authorization or something like that, right?
My
With
understanding is they just need your account number and routing information because that's usually all I've ever given out when I've had to do this. So
I think there's also the element, especially when you're applying for a new job, that you don't want to be the one who's a pain in the butt to your potentially new employer, right? So they send you an avalanche of paperwork to fill out, and you don't want to be
grateful.
That person.
Yeah, and especially if you've been out of work for a really long time. At that point, you're just like, whoever, whatever, yes, please, pay me.
Mm-hmm. So what can I do to start this money flowing?
Correct. Yeah. Last thing you want to do is put up a barrier. So I'm sure these scammers know all of this, and that's exactly what they're banking on. And it just kills me to see that more and more in my LinkedIn feed, at least, because I'm on there all the time for work reasons, I'm seeing all these posts from people saying, I've been unemployed forever. I'm seeing more of these scams, or I got hit by these scams. And it's just, it's anecdotal in my case, but my goodness, it just really seems to be getting worse out there. So just be careful, everybody, I guess.
All right. Well, we will have links to all of our stories in the show notes. And of course, we would love to hear from you. Our email address is hackinghumans@n2k.com. Joe, Maria, it is time to move on to our catch of the day.
Dave, our catch of the day comes from William, and it's a note from Dr. John Schindler, who is the Secretary General of something.
Okay. Well, what a coincidence. So am I.
Right.
I'm the Secretary General of the Hacking Humans podcast. I just gave myself a promotion.
Please put that in your email signature. That would be amazing.
Yeah, Secretary General.
Secretary General Dave Bittner.
Hacking Humans podcast. That's right. All right. It says from Dr. John Schindler, Secretary General, but the email address is dinmakuhukoamika@gmail.com. Subject, fund refund. Reply to United Bank for Africa C@gmail.com. And it goes like this. Attention, my dear. After the Global Financial Pact Summit of Paris, the International Monetary Fund has come to the conclusion to pay off your compensation funds. You are in the Badge B category that are going to benefit from the world's largest humanitarian aid budgets. With due regards to the instruction from the IMF and the Financial Stability Board, I want to inform you that the Financial Stability Board have arranged your payment through United Bank for Africa to immediately effect the transfer of your $1.75 million via UBA Bank online transfers. The transfer of your fund will be processed and completed within 3 working days, within which the fund will safely reflect into any designated bank account of your choice. To this effect, you're required to contact Sir Joseph Worley Mandy, Online Banking Services, UBA Bank. Send the below info to Sir Joseph W. Mandy. Your full name, your full address, your contact telephone, your profession, your ID and driver's license, your bank name, your bank address, your account name, your account number, your SWIFT code, and your routing number.
Mm-hmm.
If you have any questions or concerns regarding this payment, please do not hesitate to contact us. We are happy to assist you in any way we can. Thanks and best regards, Dr. John Schindler, Secretary General, Copyright, the Financial Stability Board. Copyright.
That's the part that gets you.
Well, I was going to copy this, but
no, you can't.
I don't want to get in any trouble.
We just read it on a podcast, Dave.
That's right. Oh.
What are we going to do?
Yeah, they're going to come after us.
Right.
All right. What do we make of this, gang?
It's an advanced fee scam. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's you send this information. Actually, this is like multiple scams. If you send all this information along, they will do whatever they can to steal your identity, drain your bank account. Swift code. Who knows their Swift code? The bank Swift code. That's
who
not
knows
something.
What a Swift code is?
Well, Swift is the.
Oh, you had to ask, Maria.
I don't know what that is. I don't.
Swift is like something about secure something fund transfer.
You don't even know what it is, Joe. Come on.
I don't know what it is, but it's the system that banks use behind the scenes to transfer large amounts of money between each other.
Internationally.
Internationally.
Yeah, it's an international system for transferring money. Yep.
And it's one of the things that the North Koreans have hacked. Allegedly, North Koreans have hacked. The Lazarus Group has hacked it. So, I mean, but generally, like, I don't know that you walk into your bank and go, "What's the Swift code here?" I don't know if they'll tell you.
Right.
Please come with me, sir.
Right.
We need to hold
listen,
you
what's
here.
the Swift code? And listen, while I'm here, I need to set up a decoy bank account.
No flags. No notes.
Yeah.
No flags. No. All right. Well, thank you, William, for sending this in. We do appreciate it. And again, we would love to hear from you. If there's something you'd like us to consider for the show, you can email us. It's hackinghumans@n2k.com. We want to thank all of you for listening. And of course, we want to thank our sponsors at KnowBe4. They are experts in helping users do the right thing through new school security awareness training. That is Hacking Humans, brought to you by N2K Cyberwire. We'd love to know what you think of this podcast. Your feedback ensures we deliver the insights that keep you a step ahead in the rapidly changing world of cybersecurity. If you like our show, please share a rating and review in your favorite podcast app. Please also fill out the survey in the show notes or send an email to hackinghumans@n2k.com. We're privileged that N2K Cyberwire is part of the daily routine of the most influential leaders and operators in the public and private sector, from the Fortune 500 to many of the world's preeminent intelligence and law enforcement agencies. N2K makes it easy for companies to optimize your biggest investment, your people. We make you smarter about your teams while making your team smarter. Learn how at n2k.com. This episode is produced by Liz Stokes. Our executive producer is Jennifer Iben. We're mixed by Elliot Peltzman and Trey Hester. Our executive editor is Brandon Karp. Peter Kilpie is our publisher. I'm Dave Bittner.
I'm Joe Kerrigan.
And I'm Maria Varmazis.
Thanks for listening.